Hi, I'm Sarah. I've been travelling the world with my parents and twin brother for 6 years. Yes, we don't have to go to school. My parents decided that we needed to travel to really find out how the world works. They said we mustn't just study from books, but that we must learn subjects like geography and history and sciences from the real world and all the living things surrounding us. We set off on the road when I was 10, but we didn't travel abroad until 2 years later, when I was 12. I remember because our first trip abroad was on my birthday. At the start, we travelled around Australia quite a lot, enjoying the nature and beauty of the country. We had to sell our house before we could go overseas, but then, with only a couple of suitcases, we boarded a plane to the southern states in the USA and after 2 weeks went on to Mexico and Central America. And now we've been everywhere. We've travelled to 6 continents and 41 countries, but all places which are hot. We don't like the cold. We've had tons of adventures and experiences and learned such a lot. And what's been great about this time? Well, I enjoy travelling with a passion. I love reading stories, rather than maps or travel guides, about the places I'm in, and I especially like writing about my experiences. I love walking in nature and pretty much anything to do with beautiful beaches or the water. I really love swimming in the sea or ocean. I know many people think I've missed school, but in fact, I've learnt more. I've met a lot of amazing, interesting people and, most of all, I value the friends I've made. Soon we'll have to go home. It's been nice not being in school, but, like everyone else, I have to do my exams.
Eight city tours. A. Tony's Tours.
Join one of these tours and you'll get to see some amazing views of the city and the river. You'll travel on a cable car which has all the latest entertainment technology, including music and information videos. Allow about half an hour as we take you slowly across the river to see the oldest parts of the city and the sea.
B. ABC Travel.
If you want to see the real streets, then try our pedicab tours. Our driver will take you around on our special bicycles that have seats on the back. It's a gentle way to get to know the very heart of the city. And you can stop off where you want and sightsee. We will wait for you.
C. Best Tours Limited.
The metro is huge and covers a very wide area of the city, and even areas outside. Our tours include a guide who is very experienced and can take you to parts of the city where tourists don't normally go. Our price includes your ticket for 1 day and the opportunity to visit 3 different places.
D. AboutTownTours.com.
Our tour tickets use the famous city buses. The big advantage is that you can see all the sights as you travel. You choose your own tour for 1 day or a week. And remember, you can jump on and jump off where you want and simply catch the next bus.
E. Smith & Co. Tours.
Our river bus is the oldest form of transport in the city. It's not the quickest way to travel, but it is unique and very relaxed, and you can get some of the best views in the city without the traffic. We have a cafe on board with drinks and refreshments, and you can also see the city by night.
F. First Class Travel. Our tours allow you to hire a cycle, and we give you small interactive maps and an app guide for the main sites. You can go at your own pace and stop off where you want. It's a great way to visit the parks or ride along by the river, as long as you are comfortable cycling in the traffic. G. Zebedee sites.
Why not tour the city like a resident? Walking means you avoid the traffic and get to know the city really well. Sign up and you'll get our special map, and an app gives you all the information you need. You listen to the information about the sites on your phone, so it's like having a private tour guide.
H. Sharp's tours.
If you're feeling fit, you might want to try a Segway. You can hire these individually, but you can also join a tour group with a guide to take you round the city. It's a great way to get about if you have enough time. We do ask you do a short training course with us.
Hi, I'd like to tell you about my online travel show, A Teenager's Travels. It aims to show people the beauty of different cultures. I love travelling from a really young age. I was about 6 when I first took a trip away. However, I didn't start filming my experiences until I was 12. Now I'm 18, I can say that I'm quite an experienced vlogger. My very first video was of me in the middle of Scotland. The castle we were visiting was lovely, but I can't say the same about the quality of the video. I've certainly improved my filming skills since then. I've also visited all kinds of amazing places. My favourite was filming from the top of a mountain, but I've also filmed in a rainforest, national park and many other places. When I started out, I mostly travelled with my parents because, obviously, I was young and they were paying. My cousin usually came too because I don't have any brothers or sisters and my parents wanted me to have someone my age with me. Nowadays, I tend to travel with a friend. To make my travel show interesting, I have to travel to several different places every year. Deciding where to go isn't easy. There are a lot of travel websites online that tell you about popular places at the moment. But I prefer blogs because then I can find out about cool places from travellers before they become popular. I learn so much when I travel. I learn about geography, for example. I can name most countries in the world. The most exciting thing for me, though, is history. I love imagining what life was like in different places a century or more ago. I also make sure I meet people who live in the area because they can teach me and the people who watch my show a lot. If they're really interesting, I'll put an interview with them in my film. It's good for my fans to hear what they have to say. They can see the world through their eyes and not just mine.
ATC English Language School. A. Miss Young.
I'm retired and live with my cat Molly. I'm a vegetarian and I love baking and spend hours making delicious cakes and biscuits, which I'm happy to share. I live in a quiet ground floor flat, just a 5-minute walk from the school. I have one spare room with one bed.
B. Mr. and Mrs. Hamilton.
We live in a house near a park with an outdoor swimming pool and tennis courts. We're about 30 minutes on foot from the school. Our grown-up children no longer live with us, but they attend our amazing weekly barbecues. We have one spare room for 2 students.
C. Mrs. Brown.
I live in a house on the edge of the city with a large garden. I live with my daughter and her dog. We live close to a gym and we both love playing badminton. We usually cook simple British meals. Sometimes we get a takeaway. We have one spare room for 2 students.
D. Mr. and Mrs. Puri.
We live in a house near the local university with our 15-year-old son. We can take 1 student. We love art and have an art studio in our garden. Family meals usually consist of curries and other Indian food. We don't have any pets, but our neighbour's cat sometimes visits.
E. Mr. and Mrs. Lewis.
We love art and history, which is lucky because we live close to both an art gallery and a museum. We also enjoy cooking and eat a lot of Italian food. We have a flat on the ground floor of a large house and can provide 1 student with their own room.
F. Mr. Lee.
I'm a keen cook who loves trying out new recipes from around the world. I also play the guitar in a band. I live in a flat on the 2nd floor of a building, a short bus journey from the school. I have 2 spare bedrooms, each with 1 bed.
G. Mr. Harris and Ms. French.
We live in a house with our 2 teenage daughters and our dog Billy. We're just a short bus ride away from the school. We're all huge football fans and watch matches whenever we can. We cook traditional British food. We have 1 room available with 2 beds.
H. Mr. and Mrs. Stockwell.
We live very close to the school and can offer accommodation for 2 students sharing a room. We love going to concerts and listen to all kinds of music. We're vegan, so we don't eat meat or dairy products, but we grow our own vegetables and cook tasty food.
Hi everyone, my name's Steve Wilkins, and I'm here to talk to you today about my round-the-world cycling trip. It's 42,000 kilometres around the Earth, and I cycled 29,000 of those on my trip. You can't cycle across the ocean, of course. I cycled for 180 days, so just 6 days more than the record for someone my age, which is 174 days. Of course, I wanted to contact my friends and family while I was away, but didn't have time to contact each person one at a time. Instead, I posted a blog every week, which everyone could see, and they seemed to enjoy reading it. Apart from the adventure, I was doing the ride to make money for charity. I was hoping to make £10,000, but actually ended up getting around £70,000, which I gave to a charity called Haggestow. I'll spell that for you in case you'd like to give something. It's HAGGERSTOW. The money will go towards cancer research. I decided to do the trip not after going on a long bike ride in the countryside with my friends, as you might expect, but after a 2-week ride through the mountains in France with my father, who's as keen on cycling as I am. I had some interesting experiences with animals during the trip. Perhaps the scariest was when some dogs chased me. But there was nothing more amazing than cycling alongside some kangaroos in Australia. Now I'm back, I suppose I need to get on with living a normal life, so there are no more trips to Africa or anywhere planned just yet. I'd like to start university soon, in fact. My parents wanted me to become a teacher like them, but I prefer to be a doctor, so I'm applying for courses now. I hope you enjoyed the talk. Any questions?
Life on the waves. I've never sailed before. This is my first time, and it's an amazing feeling. Sandra, 16, is on the Stavros S. Niarchos, a 200-foot, 70-metre sailing ship with 40 other young sailors. The Stavros is an exact copy of the ships that pirates sailed 200 or 300 years ago. It belongs to the Tall Ships Youth Trust. The Trust offers sailing trips for teenagers and young adults. Every year, thousands of young people get their first taste of the sea. Up to 70% of them are disabled or disadvantaged. For everyone, it's a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Sandra is on a trip from the Azores in the North Atlantic to Spain. The trip lasts a week, and they have already been at sea for 3 days. We do everything, she explained. We take the wheel, we cook, we clean, and we take it in turns to keep watch at night. I never knew there was so much work on a ship. Her friend, Emma, 15, has never been on a boat before either. I still haven't adjusted to life at sea. We've done some cool stuff, says James, 17. I've just climbed up and down the mast. It's 30 meters tall, and the views are incredible. We've seen dolphins and turtles. We haven't seen any whales yet, but the captain says there are whales near the Spanish coast. This is definitely the best thing I've ever done. If you want to know more about the Tall Ships Youth Trust, visit their website at www.tallships.org.
Fact: over 95,000 people have sailed 1.8 million nautical miles with the Tall Ships Youth Trust. New Zealand. 1. New Zealand identity.
The first people to arrive about 1,000 years ago were from eastern Polynesia. Their culture and their customs developed into the Maori way of life. This has been an important part of New Zealand's identity ever since.
2. The perfect view.
New Zealand has amazing landscapes with high mountains and over 3,800 lakes. There are at least 12 active volcanoes. The largest lake in New Zealand, Lake Taupo, lies in the crater of one of the biggest volcanoes on Earth. More than 30% of New Zealand is forest.
3. Getting active.
New Zealanders love sports. The most famous sport is rugby. The All Blacks are famous for their spectacular haka, the Maori challenge dance before their international matches. Cricket is also incredibly popular. With 6,000 kilometres of coastline, it also means water sports are very popular: sailing, kayaking, diving and surfing.
4. Art.
One of the most striking art forms in Maori culture is the tā moko Maori tattoos. The design is incredibly complicated, and they are made by tapping the needle into the skin. Maori men often have tā moko on their faces, and Maori women have them on their lips and chins.
5. Education.
New Zealanders have to go to school from the age of 6 until they are 16. The school year starts in January or February and finishes in the middle of December. There are 4 terms with 2-week holidays between each term. The school day starts at 9 o'clock and finishes at 3 o'clock.
Fact: the human population of New Zealand is 4 million. The sheep population is 36 million.
A Sound of Thunder by Ray Bradbury. A Sound of Thunder is a classic science fiction story. Written in the 1950s, it's set in an imagined future world where people can travel in time. A tour company specializes in taking hunters back in time for an incredible hunting experience, finding and killing a Tyrannosaurus rex. The main character, Eccles, is one of the hunters who signs up for the trip. Before they set off, the guide explains the rules. They must not touch anything, and they must not step off the special path that floats above the ground, because any damage to anything in the past could have a terrible effect on the future. The guides plan to see a Tyrannosaurus rex at a particular point in time, just minutes before a tree falls on it and kills it. When the hunters first see the incredible creature approaching them through the ancient forest, they are amazed. Eccles panics, turns around and steps off the path. The main guide is extremely angry and sends Eccles back to the time machine. The dinosaur hears the noise and turns towards the hunters. They are terrified, but they manage to shoot at and kill the monster. They run back to the time machine, but when they get back to their own time, things are not quite as they were. When Eccles stepped off the path, he killed a butterfly, and the butterfly's death had a small effect on time. The present they return to is no longer the same safe world they left behind. It has become a cold and cruel place. Eccles watches in amazement as the guide takes out his gun and points it at him. If Eccles had stayed on the path, he wouldn't have killed the butterfly. If he hadn't killed the butterfly, things wouldn't have changed. If he hadn't stepped off the path, would the guide have pointed the gun at him? The story ends with a sudden sound of thunder.
The Giant's Causeway looks like an image from a computer game, but it's real. These amazing geometrical rock columns lead down from the northeast coast of Northern Ireland in a series of giant steps. The tallest columns are over 12 meters high, and the steps go down into the sea. You look at these perfect symmetrical shapes and you think, this can't have formed naturally. But then again, humans can't have built it either. It's just too big. The local people say it must have been a giant. According to local legends, long, long ago giants lived in the Celtic lands of Ireland and Scotland. One of these giants, the Irish giant, Finn MacCool, wanted to cross the Irish Sea to Scotland to meet and fight another giant, the Scottish giant Benandonna. But Finn didn't like water, so they say that rather than swim across, he may have built an enormous causeway so that he could walk across the sea. In fact, 70 miles away, on the west coast of Scotland, similar steps lead out of the sea and back to land. So, could a giant have built this causeway just to stop his feet from getting wet? When Finn saw Benandonna, he realized the Scottish giant was much bigger than him, and he couldn't possibly beat him in a fight. He ran back to his wife, who had a great idea. In order to trick Benandonna, she dressed Finn up as a baby. The Scottish giant crossed the causeway, and when he saw the enormous baby, he must have been absolutely terrified. If the baby was this big, how big was his father? Benandonna ran back across the rocks, never to return. Looking now at these incredible rocks, it's easy to believe that a giant might have built them. But, of course, there is another explanation. Scientists say that the causeway exists as a result of a series of violent volcanic eruptions more than 60 million years ago. The eruptions pushed columns of hot lava, liquid rock, into the air through the cold water. As the lava passed through the water, it turned to rock and formed these incredible columns we see today. Which explanation do you prefer, giants or nature? I think I prefer the first.
The Pueblo people of the Four Corners. Mesa Verde National Park covers more than 80 square miles of the Four Corners region of the United States, where the borders of Utah, Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico meet. It was once the home of the Pueblo people, a Native American civilization famous for its amazing cliff dwellings. The best examples of these incredible homes can be seen in the walls of the park's spectacular canyons. The Four Corners is a landscape of extremes, hot and dry in summer, covered in snow in winter. It isn't an easy place to live, but the Pueblo people made their home here and farmed the land for over 700 years, from 600 to 1300 AD. They built complicated villages. Their name comes from the Spanish word for village, pueblo, where hundreds of people shared the protection of their strong stone walls. Early European settlers in North America were amazed by their building ability. The Cliff Palace is the largest Pueblo cliff dwelling in the park. It's best seen from above, where the building will leave you thinking about how these people could have built such complex houses. The most interesting of all the houses is the balcony house. It is made up of 40 rooms, connected by long, narrow tunnels and built around a series of shared spaces and can only be visited with a guide. You have to be ready to climb. The only door into the house is at the top of a 10-meter-high wooden ladder. When the Pueblo people lived here, they would have entered their homes by climbing ladders and ropes up the steep cliff wall. Once inside, they would have pulled the ladder into the house in order to protect themselves from enemies. Exploring the maze of tunnels and rooms, you really start to understand what life must have been like for the Pueblo peoples so long ago. As you stand at the edge of the cliff, looking down into the canyon below and listening to the silence of nature, it's easy to imagine that you have travelled back in time.
OK, Kevin and Laura, we should think about the summer. It's May and we still haven't organised a holiday. What about another house exchange? I've looked on the website and there are lots of nice families still offering places. Let's see. Here's a nice house. It's in a small village in the south of France.
Not France again, Mum. We've been there lots of times already. Can't we go somewhere we haven't been yet?
What about Scandinavia, Norway or Sweden? You can relax there and go sailing.
Well, there's this house in Tromsø. It's a small town on the coast of Norway. I can't see anything else in Scandinavia.
I don't want to go there. It sounds boring. I want to go somewhere where there are things you can do in the evening.
Oh, Laura, not a small town then. This is more difficult than I thought. What else is there?
Oh, look, there's a beautiful flat in Florence. We could have a cultural holiday with guided tours to learn about Italian art and architecture. I've never been there, but I've heard that it's amazing. And we could look around Tuscany, which has beautiful countryside. What do you think?
It sounds great. And I'm sure there are things for you two to do in the evenings. Where do the people in Florence want to go on their exchange?
They're looking for a house in the USA. They want to learn American English, so that's no good.
Oh, that's a pity. Never mind. Let's see if there's anything else.
What about this house in Amsterdam? Now that's an interesting city. And it's nearer than Italy. This family want to come to London too. What do you think?
Yes, I think that sounds better than Florence. My friend Jess has been there. She said it was fantastic.
I like the idea of Amsterdam too. I've wanted to go for years, but I still haven't been there.
Amsterdam is cool.
Right, let's email the family now and see what they say.